Hello, everybody. Welcome to Podcaster Showcase, a monthly live broadcast brought to you by the International Podcast Day team. I am Dave Lee, co-founder of International Podcast Day, and thank you for tuning in. Each month, we will be featuring podcasters from around the world, so stay tuned for more announcements coming soon. This month, we are extremely excited to have Regina, Belinda, Carol, and Joanne. These four are part of the hashtag Impact team. Impact is a podcasting community built for and by visionaries, making positive impacts by sharing stories that deserve to be heard. And they are audio enthusiasts on a mission to get people to listen to stories that really matter. Hashtag Impact started in a tiny Hong Kong bedroom back in 2016. Today, they count 100 plus episodes, have been on air for good for 72 hours, have inspired dozens of other podcasters to start their own purpose-driven podcasts. From Berlin to Sydney, from Honolulu to Hong Kong, the host will bring you stories from all over the globe, as you will find inspiration on how to make an impact in your community as well. And season 5 officially launched this week on November 25th, which is very exciting. You can learn more by heading over to #impact.com. So let's welcome in Belinda, Regina, Joanne, and Carol. Welcome. How are you all doing today?
Hi, Dave. So great to be here. Thank you for having us. We're good. How are you doing, ladies? All good over at yours?
Yeah, you ladies can go ahead and unmute. How are you all doing today?
All good.
Good to be here. Doing very well.
All good. It's been a crazy year, and it's great today to see season 5 launch and to be online today, to be live.
Yeah, you said it, Dave. It always feels really nice to have someone else say it. Thank you for this beautiful introduction and for giving us the opportunity to share a bit about our story here today. But, you know, it's been quite the journey. This has been in the making for the last 4 years. As you said, it started in a tiny little bedroom in Hong Kong, in my tiny little bedroom. And I am just so amazed and inspired by what it has become. And I'm so grateful to have such an amazing team of talented, smart, passionate women. Some of them are joining us here today, but there are even more. Amanda, based in Sydney, Alice, based in Berlin, Avani in New York, who are here with us today in spirit. And I'm just so glad we get to talk a bit about hashtag Impact here today and what we're doing over there. And the launch this week, the ladies, they've been in it. Yeah, our social media was exploding. And it's been really good fun to finally get season 5 started, where we tackle the sustainable development goals.
Yeah, this is all very exciting. Make sure everybody heads over to hashtag Impact. And again, that's spelled out, #impact.com, to check out season 5, find out the amazing work that these 4 ladies and the entire team are doing. So Regina, Carol, Belinda, Joanne, I am going to step out of the way. We look forward to hearing from what you have to share about what you're doing in your community, and of course, passing that along to the International Podcast Day community. So thank you and welcome to Podcaster Showcase.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dave. We thought we're just gonna have a fun chat here with you guys today, because actually we don't get to hang out together that often, right? We have 3 ladies based in Hong Kong here today. So Joanne is in Hong Kong, Belinda is based in Hong Kong, like myself as well. Carol is in Honolulu right now. So thank you for just hanging out with us here today for a bit, so we can tell you how it all started and how we are growing our community. And we'd love to invite you to become part of it as well. So actually, I want to just hand over to Belinda and just, what do you think? What do you think people should know about hashtag Impact Podcast? First, like, what was the first thing you learned about hashtag Impact Podcast, and why did you want to get involved? Like, how did we meet? Remember?
We met at a Metro Locomotion. who were featured in your podcast. And when I met Regina, I met this other quirky Austrian who was like, you're from Austria, I'm from Austria too, which was really refreshing. And I learned more than about hashtag impact. And I really loved, what really resonated with me was highlighting change makers that are often grassroots and that are often the underdogs, and seeing also the things that they achieved. And I think one of my favorite examples is always Jeff Rotmeyer from Impact Hong Kong, and around homeless people, the things that he has achieved, and how also Regina highlighted his journey, but also so many other journeys. And I really loved also the way it was so raw and refreshing, and it resonated with me on so many levels.
Yeah, raw and refreshing. Let's take a step back. When I started the podcast, I was a little bit in a career transition, and I really wanted to learn a new skill. I was always a passionate podcast listener, so I thought, okay, why not start my own podcast? Maybe I could do that. But from the beginning, I was very strategic about what did I want this show to be about, and who would I want to connect with through the show. So before, I've been working for an NGO myself in mainland China for many years, and that's why I then chose as a topic for hashtag impact social impact work. And I kept it very broad. I wanted to do an interview show where I would interview change makers based in Hong Kong, that I could go out and meet them and see where they work, how they work, and help them spread the message about their inspiring work. So that's how it started here in Hong Kong, just me going about doing some interviews. And I want to now fast forward to where we are today. So we have these amazing women and more recording from where they are based or where life brings them. And they go out and interview changemakers to bring stories to our audience from, for example, Seoul. Because before Carol was in Honolulu, she spent some time in Seoul. And I'd like to hand over to Carol and tell you about one of our most popular episodes of hashtag impact podcast to date, up in the top 3 episodes that Carol recorded a while back in Seoul. Over to you, Carol.
Hi, everyone. Oh, it's so nice to see everybody. It's been kind of wild, especially during COVID. But I think that's what makes these online meetings even more accessible and fun. So for my episode in Seoul, it started when I started volunteering with an organization called Teach North Korean Refugees. So Teach North Korean Refugees, or TNKR, is a nonprofit organization that gives educational opportunities to North Korean refugees. So that includes English tutoring, professional development, and even speech skills so that they can give TED Talks and testimonies. So I started volunteering with them because I was an English teacher in Seoul, and I started tutoring my North Korean refugee mentee. And I guess I just thought that they were a really great organization, very passionate about their work, and really can talk about North Korea and these types of topics and the real human experience. And so I was already working with hashtag impact at the time, and we were about to launch season 5, the UN SDGs, and I just thought they were a perfect fit for SDG number 4, quality education. So I asked Casey Lartigue and Ungu Lee to interview with us on hashtag impact. And it was kind of challenging because it was me and 2 guests, so trying to find a balance. But I think we just had such a fun time and a fruitful conversation. And I just can't believe how well the episode is doing. And I'm really happy a lot of people are listening and learning about North Korea and North Korean refugees, and hashtag impact has provided that platform.
Yeah, and I think that's what we are all about, really. We want to, and I think that's why your episode is doing so well, Carol. These are stories that you don't hear every day. And there are a lot of great organizations out there, grassroots organizations that are doing really impactful work in their communities, but they don't make the big news, or they don't have the platform just yet. So that has always been like from the first moment I started #Impact, that was always my ambition, that with the feature that these organizations would get on #Impact, it should help them gain more confidence in their own story, sharing their story. Many of the organizations that we featured, Belinda, you mentioned Impact HK, they had never been on a podcast before. They never had the opportunity to share their story in that authentic way. And we're speaking here today to a lot of podcast fanatics, I think. So you all, I don't have to tell you about how beautiful and amazing audio content is to really take listeners on a journey and really make them feel for the guests on the show. So that it makes me just really proud, to see that.
Can I add here that?
Yes,
can I please add
go
that you are really one of the pioneers here in Hong Kong when it comes to talking about social impact, and the many people that you featured, they, as you mentioned, they've not been on a podcast before, and you really gave them a chance, a window to the world where they can share their stories. And I think because you did that afterwards, they got press coverage, they got invited to speak on so many other podcasts. But with so many of the people that you featured, if I look back, I saw that you were the first ones to really feature them.
Yeah, that makes me so happy. It just makes me so happy. And I'm so proud of all the guests that we featured. I think that's what makes our community very special as well. Like when we do these conversations and these interviews, it's not like a one-off thing. We really stay in touch with the community. Everyone that we had on the show, they are part of the family. Yeah? So we check in with them. We follow their social media. We share their events, their upcoming fundraising campaigns, and so on. Of course, the more people we feature, the more challenging it gets, because it takes a lot of time as well to keep up with everybody. But I regularly send out emails to all of the guests that have been on the show and ask them, what are you up to? Tell us. Let us help you put it on the newsletter so that we can help you spread the word even after they've been featured on the show. And that actually brings me over to Joanne, because she has been helping out with putting our community newsletter together lately. And the story with Joanne is just so beautiful, because Joanne and I first connected a few years back when Joanne was still in high school. And then she reached out, and I was still on maternity leave with my second born at that time. And I remember that first phone call we had, Joanne, and I had my baby girl with me, and she was like crying in the background. And I don't know what you thought, Joanne, but I thought, oh, maybe I lost a listener now, because I knew you were reaching out because you had been listening to #Impact podcast. But then we reconnected again, and now you're part of the team. It makes me so happy. Joanne, how was that first phone call? Do you remember that phone call we had with my baby? With my baby, what were you? Okay, now honestly, we're on the record. We're live here. I never asked you that, but did you think, what is this lady doing? Why is there a crying baby on the phone? And what is happening here? How was that for you that day?
Oh, yeah, I remember the first phone call. It was really like amazing that you were able to kind of like have you had obviously like you had a lot going on, and then for me it just felt like very refreshing, because I at that point I had just started listening to podcasts, because my friend was really into podcasts and she kind of infected me with her enthusiasm. But the podcast she listened to and recommended to me, they were very like the professional, like public radio podcast, and I felt like, okay, why don't I try listening to one that is more Hong Kong based, more personal to my life, and really talks about experiences I can relate to, and a lot of people doing social impact work that I find resonate with me, because at that time in high school I was volunteering with some charities and student organizations. And then I felt that like, okay, these people that are sharing their experiences and trying to provide a platform for the world to listen to them, those people are just like regular people like you and me. And it just made me feel that anyone can be in a podcast, anyone can help out with podcasts, or even record their own episode. And even though at first it can seem like something really daunting, I've come to realize that it is a doable thing. And it is something I eventually hope to do one day. But right now I'm probably like the youngest, the greenest person in the group. I've only very recently started to come to this podcasting community. So I'm really hoping to sort of learn the ropes a little bit, better understand how #impact podcast works and how the podcasting community is like as a whole, and maybe eventually help out more with even interviewing guests. That would be amazing.
We're waiting for your first episode, Joanne. Definitely. Yay. Do it. Yeah, I mean, that is something that has kind of like happened along the way, by maybe not by accident, because I was always really passionate about just the audio storytelling and teaching other people how to do it and encouraging other people to try it as well. But really, this is how I think the whole team also came together. All of you were interested also in learning about podcasting and became my first students and mentees. And I'm just so proud to have many of our hosts, so Carol and Belinda, now also running their own shows, their own podcasts. Because what I also did was it was 1 year of work, but I put together an online course for people to also start to learn how to produce their own podcast. And it's not just so much about the technicalities. I think there are a lot of podcasts out there that show you, the tricks about the editing and the technical side of things. But what I wanted my course to be is exactly what you just said, Joanne. Like you kind of need to build the confidence to really actually do it and put yourself out there and in front of a mic. And there's a lot about that within my course as well, where I want to empower people to gain the confidence in the first place to step into this audio storytelling. And how I'm doing it is to encourage my team to also step in front of the mic, like for #impact podcast, but then further down the road, maybe also launch their own show like Belinda and Carol did. Belinda, Carol, like, how does it feel to be like a podcaster now as well, like having your own show and spreading messages that you care about on your own channels as well? Who wants to go first? So let's do a shout out to
I don't like
Belinda,
silence.
the Belinda Esterhammer show. So subscribe to that one as well while you're at it. And you go first.
I launched season 1 this year because podcasting, because of Regina and her amazing teaching skills and everything, I learned podcasting, like 2 years ago, I think, or something. But after also your course launched and I had a look at everything, and then also this year with COVID and not being able to travel and to finally have to sit down and really do stuff at home, I decided to also just launch my own show. And as I launched season 1, season 2 is coming end of December. And I learned so much, and also the people that I speak to. And obviously being co-host on #impact also been a real great experience for me, and also talking to those people. But then also doing it alone and really being here to be like, okay, this is what I want to do. And I'm going to call it the Belinda Esterhammer Show because it's just about things that I want to talk about. And I heard so many people being like, oh, you need to do this. And I'm like, no, it's my show. I can do whatever I want. So that's also been really empowering to really be able to share my story and to share it also through the beauty of audio. And it doesn't have to be, I think also with podcasting, I really learned that it doesn't just have to be a setup where you have to do, videos. You don't have to go on YouTube to be a content creator. There's so many ways. And I think audio is so beautiful because I listen to a podcast almost daily when I go for walks, when I go on a run. It's just there and you don't have to look at things. And I think that's the beauty of it. And thank you so much, Regina, for really introducing me to the beauty of podcasting.
You are very welcome. When I started my podcast, I thought everyone had already discovered that. I thought I was like late to it, but I noticed also that I actually introduced a lot of my friends to podcasts, and they not only started listening to Hashtag Impact, but then they found so many shows that inspire them. And I think the beauty of it is that you can just go to any kind of search engine and put in a topic you want to learn about, and there will be probably 5-10 shows about it. You just have to find one that really resonates with you and a host that you feel connected with, and then yeah, like Carol's show, Carol, tell us more about the show you launched together with Ellie. And that actually goes a bit back. Maybe we can take a step back, also sharing like how we first met, Carol.
Yeah, so before I was in Korea, I was actually in Hong Kong working at Lingnan University as a tutor, and Regina was going to speak at our TEDx Lingnan University event. And after a while, I was just kind of looking at what Regina was doing. And I think more than just Hashtag Impact podcast, Regina was being a mentor, especially for women. And I think just knowing who she invites on the show, it's not only to provide a platform, but it's just really people who want to make a difference in the world and are really doing everything they can with the resources they have to, make an impact even from the biggest ways. And so I was just so inspired, and I think Regina and the whole team here has been so encouraging, because I've never talked on a podcasting show before, but I was always interested in audio. And then after working on Hashtag Impact a little bit, I was just taking a trip to Cambodia on a whim, and
I remember that.
I was just inspired.
I remember how I forced you to, Joanne, I'm gonna do the same to you. Actually, I think I already didn't I force you to record some conversations you had? And then with Carol as well. Yeah, when you're there, just record something, do something, interview someone. Just use your phone, just don't get stuck with like investing in some high tech. Just take out your phone and just do it. Yeah, so you did it.
Yeah, you just made podcasting so accessible. So I did. I recorded Mr. Lin at the Greenleaf Boutique Hotel, and he was very vulnerable and open about his stories and his family and the Civil War and everything. And I think it was really great for listeners to hear that as well. So, and I think what you created, Regina, is this kind of chain reaction, because my other friend, Ali, who was working in Hong Kong, was inspired to start a podcast. And then found me a resource to kind of mentor her a little bit, and we created Across Seas together. So it's a fun podcast about someone from Hawaii and someone from New York who just met in Hong Kong, and we tell different travel stories and talk about social issues. And I think it's just really great what we've created.
Yeah. It's sometimes I also when you're in it, whatever you're doing, like you all have your projects that you're running, work that you're doing, things that you're passionate about. When you're in it, you feel like sometimes impatient, at least I do. Like, it would be great to already be, you always have a goal. You always want it to get better and bigger, and yeah. So it's really nice that actually we have this opportunity today here to just say like where we're at the moment. And it's actually already pretty great, like how far we've already come. And I'm just so grateful to all of you to, you keep me going as well, because you all, I run, let's give our listeners and our people that are tuning in here today a bit of a background. I mean, I'm running Hashtag Impact full time. I devoted my full life to it now. Yeah, I mean, I have a private life as well. Yeah, a busy life. But I really I said no to all other projects. Like I stopped all other freelance projects I was doing. I really, at some point, like 1 year into my podcasting journey, when I was running it as a passion project, I made the decision that I'm going to register this as a business. I want to make a living of this, of my dream, of my passion. And I'm doing this full time. But the rest of the team, they all have busy jobs, busy studies. Some are still studying, some are running their own company, like Belinda does. And I'm just so grateful to have you on the team with me as my hosts and supporters, helping with social media shout outs and recording episodes, because you also keep me going. I also feel that I owe it to myself, because I already invested a lot of time in this dream, and I want this to become even better. But having you, just a WhatsApp group that we have, the chats that we are having, and I'm often sharing some stuff as well that's, when I'm having a hard time, and especially like as I was juggling this year, homeschooling kids, coming back from maternity leave, and trying to launch a new season of #Impact. And then just having you there with me to send me some motivation boosts as well on our chat. Yeah, can I just publicly say that now in front of the world for everyone to hear? To you that are here today, and also the rest of the team, and the people that have been part of this journey in the past, because there are some people that helped out as interns in the past, or even as community managers. Like let's give a shout out to Anna Perez, who has been a big part of the team. Applause for her for like earlier, like 2 years ago when I was on maternity leave with my second kid. So I think what I want to say here is, you need it takes a village. It takes a village to make things happen, and I'm grateful that you are part of that. Yeah, my little emotional note on the side on a Saturday morning. I hope I didn't make anyone cry now. No, you're looking fine. But yeah, let's tell our listeners today also about what we're doing right now at #Impact Season 5. Joanne, do you wanna share a little bit about what we're up to this season?
Yeah, so season 5 is the super exciting moment for all of us. I'm sure it just started this past week, so we just kicked it off with the intro. And we actually, a few months back, we kind of had like a teaser semi-season 5 where we also had some interviews with people that were making change with the sustainable development goals across the world. And now we have some upcoming exciting episodes that we're really looking forward to share with the world. And we've also been, I've been helping out with like the newsletter and the content creation. So I'm really excited to kind of just get the word out and promote #Impact, all the people, all of you who are working tirelessly behind it and curating the episodes and the content, and kind of just like bringing that to the audience. Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. Oh, David's just throwing it in here. Thank you so much. Yeah. So here, for the people that are watching right now, you see here is our season 5 page, and it starts here. Maybe, I wonder, have you heard about the Sustainable Development Goals? Have you heard before about that? Do you know what that's all about? That's where we start. That is what the launch episode is all about. Because I noticed that as well, like going into season 5 with the teaser episodes, I kind of assumed everyone had heard about that. Yeah, because it's like it's been kind of like on the agenda for the last 5 years. I thought people have grasped what it is all about. But then, like, I think with every episode, what you have to do as a good podcaster is put yourself in the listener's shoes. And then I actually also put myself in my own shoes back a year ago when we decided #Impact Season 5 should focus on the Sustainable Development Goals. And then I realized, like, when I started on, I also, like, I had heard about it before, but oh my, did I have like really wrong assumptions about it. So that's where this episode starts, like going back to the basics and saying, so what are the Sustainable Development Goals? Why do they matter? And how do they relate to you? Because they relate to all of us, everyone who's watching and listening right now. You are part of this. And that's what we are doing in this season to take you on board, to make you feel excited about being part of choosing what is important to you within these goals, and make small impacts in your life as well to become a change maker. Belinda, I know you are on so many panels. Belinda here is the most experienced of all of us with live panels. Belinda, share a little bit what you do on a daily basis. I think this week you've been on like 10 different panels. But the Sustainable Development Goals, I think, is something that is a topic on a lot of people's minds. But do you think people really understand what it's all about? What's your perception of that?
I don't think people really understand. Like a lot of people, they might heard about SDGs. It's such a buzzword, like sustainability. But I think that what they don't understand is what's actually behind these 17 goals and why they exist. And I think it's really important for people to know that it's basically a blueprint to achieve a much more sustainable future. And these 17 issues are here because these are global challenges that we are all facing. So yeah, I think it's amazing that this season is all about these challenges, and also from a global level, but then also looking inwards into our own communities. And and also these 17 global issues, they affect everyone, whether it's you as an individual or you as a company or also as a community. And from education to clean water to really energy, it just addresses so many important issues, and we all have to tackle them to really achieve a sustainable future and to hopefully be still here in 200 years.
Carol, can we already talk about your episode? I'm not sure if it's actually already confirmed and locked in, but maybe let's just talk in the context of that that this will be our most global season yet, right? We're talking about very global topics, and I guess I just got lucky. I mean, I met all of you in Hong Kong, but now people are spread out and moved into in other places and continents. So I think it is important, though, that we have, and I hope for more stories from all over the globe, actually, as we also encourage our listeners to send in their own stories, and we can get a bit into that maybe as we then wrap up the session later on, how people can get involved. But it is very important that we understand it as a global conversation. Are there any topics, or can you give us a little bit of a teaser, Carol? What can we expect from Hawaii, from our #impact station there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really interesting because I was very unfamiliar with the Sustainable Development Goals until you told me about them. And yeah, actually, when you were telling me, oh, this is my idea for season 5, I thought we were just going to talk about the environment, but then you corrected me and said, oh, no, actually, it covers like justice institutions, it covers climate change and gender equality. So I thought it was really interesting and cool, and to be a part of this season and to host. And when I got home to Hawaii, and Hawaii is, one of the most isolated chain of islands in the world. We're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and I just started graduate school and my fellowship at the East-West Center. And already a lot of the speakers were using the SDGs, like, oh, SDG number blah, blah, SDG this, gender equality, climate change, how do they work? How do we tackle them together? And it was just so widely used in the community. And I think Amanda puts it really well, where this is a language that all of us change makers can use to, address these challenges that we are all facing globally, even if you're all the way here in Hawaii. So I'm hoping to do an episode with the SDGs dealing with life below water, because we're in Hawaii, and the marine ecosystems are really important here. But I've also met people who are thinking about climate change and gender, and how actually climate change affects women disproportionately, women and migrants and stuff. So I think it's really exciting moving forward with this season.
Yeah, Joanne, now we're gonna do this live now. I'm gonna put you, I want to have this on the record now. So when we're gonna encourage you to go out and record a bit, what are the topics, like looking at the Sustainable Development Goals, that you think that are just close to your heart, or something where you think, there's an organization that you come across? I know you've been also so active, such a young, passionate change maker, volunteering within your high school, also leading a lot of talks, organizing talks on sustainability and topics you cared about. But what would be a topic that you would want to bring to, that you would want to see on on our season this in this upcoming next few months, so that I can then tell you, you said that, go out and do your recording, Joanne.
Okay, for sure, I will. Yeah, that's a really great question. And I was thinking about it a lot because like I was kind of thinking like, I think obviously a lot of us have all these social impact issues that are very close to our heart, but there's just so much in the world, and then sometimes we just don't really know where to begin. So for me, it has been kind of a journey. And in high school, I used to do more social justice work where I worked with refugees and migrant children or children from asylum seeker families. So we did more of like a children's mentorship program. And so that was kind of my focus in high school. But as I have been going to college for a year and coming back to Hong Kong in the midst of this pandemic, it really allowed me to kind of reflect on what issues I was interested in exploring and wanted to talk about. And I think allowing yourself the flexibility to be dynamic, to adapt your content and your focus and what you're interested in is very important. And I've come to realize that moving forward, like as we recover from this pandemic, like economically, socially, I think it's really important to focus on the environment. So recently at my school, I've gotten involved with this student organization called the Energy Alliance, which I think is fascinating. I think really talking about renewable energy and sustainability as a way to help us move forward and help to build a more resilient society is really important. So like really trying to focus on like the recovery, both from a bottoms up and also top down perspective, because I think it's really important that like governments and institutions also look at, okay, we are in this pandemic, but moving forward, like how can we make like our society, our like community a better place to live in and to be in for the next generation? So definitely energy sustainability and the environment for sure.
Yeah. And when you start your research, I mean, of course, we have to give a shout out here to the top Asia media platform for all these topics. I find always so much great inspiration and articles on Green Queen Media. Yeah, can we give a shout out to the amazing team over there? We are huge fans, and they've been on our podcast as well. And we even started a podcast with them. There was a brand collaboration a while back. So a zero waste journey podcast. That was that one that we did together with Green Queen Media it was 2 years back. And yeah, I actually want to talk a little bit about that, inspiring people to start a podcast. So I mentioned this online course that I created to empower other people to start a podcast. But what was so important to me also is that that we would make this accessible also to people that can not afford it, especially NGOs that want to get their stories out. So with each of these sold courses, there is also a NGO that gets a fellowship, that gets the course access, but not just the course access, but also mentorship. So they get a coaching call and get some encouragement as well. And I'm just so thrilled about, can we give a shout out also to an amazing podcast that you have to check out, especially here in Asia. Very, very important to not just in Asia. Let's rewind that. A topic that is important everywhere, but it's very stigmatized, is mental health. And our amazing charity beneficiary, Kelly Support Group, that was our first NGO podcasting fellow. They launched their own show. They're up in their 3rd season now, where they are talking about mental health issues. They are working with young people here in Hong Kong, and they interview them on the show, and they're amazing. So please check them out as well, Kelly Support Group, and their podcast is called This Hong Kong Life. Very easy to remember, I think, for you out there. Any favorite podcasts for you, Belinda, right now? What should we, besides the Belinda Esterhammer show, what are some podcasts that we should give a shout out to here today?
Apart from #Impact, I'm really into true crime podcasts. So I'm obsessed with a podcast called Cults. And so I think podcasts sometimes are really personal, like your Spotify playlist, where but I think one of the podcasts I've been really listening to this year definitely has been Cult. What about you, Carol? What podcasts have you been listening to this year?
That is such a good question. I think with everything that's happened this year, not only with the pandemic, but especially
we're having a little tech.
Following a lot of.
We're having a little internet tech cut off.
Some of the I just opened my actual list. Yeah, some of the other ones that I love are Pivot and Stuff They Don't Want You to Know. I love also TED Talks Daily. My favorite, Murder. It's a hilarious podcast about murders. Yes, I think I really love to listen to these kind of things when I go for a run, because I can't listen to music, for example, when I work out, because I just always stop and then I just want like, oh, next one. I don't like this song, but I don't have the issue, thankfully, with podcasts. Yeah.
Carol, do we have you back? We missed you when you were just telling us. So there was a cliffhanger. We really want to know now what you were listening to. No worries.
I apologize for internet. What was the last thing you heard?
Just tell us your podcast.
Oh, okay, great. So I've been listening to Code Switch actually because of everything happening with the Black Lives Matter movement. I think it's very important for us to hear these perspectives. So I highly recommend Code Switch, but also just some I like some. I don't know if it's a crime one, but I've been listening to some stories like S-Town. I think it's produced by NPR. I think that's really interesting too. Yeah. How about you, Joanne?
Yeah, I've been listening to, there's this podcast called The Everyday Activist. It's run by I think a Hong Kong kind of like sustainability and plant-based eating activist called Ugrania. I think she has this Instagram handle, Ugrania, and she interviews like these social activists and people involved in social issues, but she takes a very like intersectional lens, which is really fascinating. Like she thinks about how like social justice and like food and all these different issues are connected together. And I think she's actually very young. I think she just graduated high school. She's in college or something. So she's a real inspiration. And obviously I'm also an NPR fanatic. I really like Planet Money. So I have a ton of NPR podcasts that I'm listening to.
Yeah, I didn't know that podcast yet that you just mentioned, Joanne. We should definitely put that in our newsletter as well to share it with our community. That sounds amazing. And when you say like this is a young person, right, just graduated from high school, I just see so much talent. Yeah, young people. I'm so passionate about getting their voices heard as well. And I've been part of a program run here by Kids for Kids, where we did an online workshop where I also encouraged them to send in their voice messages, and that will go on the podcast as well in a special coming up in the next few months. And I also work with schools here in Hong Kong, where I work with teenagers to encourage them to use their voice, and they're producing like internal podcasts, and I'm so inspired by them. We listen to these trailers that they produced for their podcast, and it's an impact topic as well. I'm not going to go into details now, but it's all about how do you communicate about diseases so that people actually understand them and want to just learn about certain diseases in certain parts of the world. And they produce the most amazing, most creative audio trailers. I was so inspired, and actually almost this encourages me as well to keep learning and to keep getting better at telling the stories on #impact. Like, how do we package it? So you will, if you hear a few of our episodes, like this launch episode is testament to that. I really wanted to challenge myself to tell the story also in a bit a different way, not always interview, like throw in a narrative piece now and then as well. I will stick to the interviews because I love that kind of vibe that we can create with our guests, and I think it gives them a lot of space as well to share their stories. But now and then, I will also challenge myself and also you, my co-hosts, to keep learning and growing and working with this audio format. And that actually brings me to how we want to get you involved as well. So we are encouraging everyone who is out there in the world, who is making an impact. And we keep this very broad, right? I mean, it can be in little ways, it can be in daily actions, or maybe you are working yourself for an impact organization within the Sustainable Development Goals. And then we want to have you send us your voice message. So you can do that at #impact.com/story. And you can not only just send us a voice message, what you will find there as well is a storytelling guide so that you can really feel empowered to tell your story in the best way. You find a special episode about storytelling there as well. And then we just wanna have your voice heard as well. Yeah, so that would be really amazing. I wanna. Do I ask Dave back in here now to join the conversation, or bring in some of the questions that we have here? I see a question from Steve Lee.
Yeah, it was a comment from Steve Lee over on our YouTube page. He said, "Yeah, with the heartaches and trials of 2020, the world needs more individuals as yourselves. Bravo!" And I think that's,
thank you, Steve.
That's a very well-timed and great comment to think about, considering what you're all doing there. And I was taking a look over at your website, and great conversation, by the way, so far. And what I was getting from it is that everybody in your team is collectively working together to create some positivity. And so I was over on your website. I do want to share the page real fast here, and I just want to make it highlight here. And it's all about, your values and what you're looking for, right? And making sure everybody's voice is being heard, and that they have that voice that deserves to be heard, and that they're leaving a mark on the world. And that what you're trying to create over there at #impact is some positivity, right? It can only come from positive storytelling and passionate action. I wanted to scroll a little bit down here further. You're talking about collaboration, community, exploration, about bringing new ideas and new things to the surface as a way to change the world, one episode at a time, one story at a time. And that involves utilizing everybody's skills, looking at the challenges that the world faces, and trying to create just a difference, right? As you explained on your site, the world is changing fast, but staying curious and remaining confident in ourselves is one of the big things that really drives you all. And so, yeah, I think it's absolutely impressive. In when the four of you talk about, I didn't know about that podcast, we need to share that with the community. And when that's your first thought, I think that's going to go a very long way for building your community and creating a mindfulness about a lot of individuals out there.
Oh, thank you, Dave. It's so, it warms my heart to hear that. But there's still so much to do. So sometimes I do get impatient because I know there are a lot of stories that we couldn't feature just yet, a lot of marginalized voices. And Carol mentioned the Black Lives Matter movement. I know there's so much that we on our channel also need to do to get more voices heard from all walks of life, all parts of the world. And yeah, so if anyone out there, listening right now, who wants to be a part of this and also bring us an episode from their part of the world, or collaborate with us so that we can maybe cross-promote our podcast as well, share one of your episodes that you have on your channel, on our channel, then I would love to just invite people to just reach out. And you, Dave, you're so great putting all the links everywhere. I think people really know now how to find us. and also to check out what all of us individually are doing as well. I know this was all about hashtag impact podcast focus now, but each person on the team, like the people here today, Carol, Belinda, Joanne, they all have their own amazing projects going. So I would encourage you to follow all of their work as well.
Yeah, I do want to highlight a couple more of your upcoming episodes in season 5, just so that our audience and perhaps either of you can kind of elaborate on this. And so season 5 officially launched a couple days ago, November 25th. Here's just a sneak peek at just some of the episodes. And if you go over to hashtagimpact.com, /season5, you'll be able to see all of these. You actually get a little sneak peek into each one of these episodes. Mm-hmm. So the different topics that we're going to be talking about, or that you're going to be talking about, is nurturing tech talent, changing the narrative on migration, restoring respect for animals, educating and empowering North Korean refugees, ending modern slavery in Asia. Our listeners are making an impact, reducing waste in the fashion industry. I mean, just you're taking these global ideas and these global concepts, and you're highlighting them, and you're giving your voices power to that and trying to make that change. And so those are obviously very big topics, but you can start small, and you can continue to grow. And I think it just shows that the 4 of you and the rest of your team continue to do that. Focus on the issue, the concern, start creating some storytelling, stories that deserve to be heard, voices that matter. And I just think it's incredible. So make sure everybody goes over and checks out the sneak peek to all those episodes that are coming out. So is there anything within the season 5 specifically that either any of the 4 of you want to sort of speak on specifically, or do you just want to leave it and let people kind of wait and see for themselves? Is there any one episode or anything that particularly hits close to home, or something you want to highlight?
I would give this over to the ladies. Like, is there any favorite episode that you particularly loved on hashtag impact? I can't choose because I love all of them. If you're interested in the sustainable development goals, I think that just the launch episode that came out this week is just a good start to get an understanding for what the sustainable development goals are all about. But yeah, I think it depends also, what are you interested in, right? What topics are you interested in? And then you can scroll down on the website actually and just go and choose a topic that's maybe close to your heart. Any particular episode you really loved? Ladies, I don't know. Belinda, did you have a favorite? You mentioned Jeff Rothmeyer. He is, of course, a very inspirational guy here in Hong Kong. Yeah.
I think also one that I really liked was the one with Locomotion on the value of donating skills. And again, I really loved how, you give these companies, these businesses really a way to really share their stories and also the purpose with others. So that's one of the episodes I really like. I also really like Carol's episode. Carol, you did such a good job. I also listened to the one that even the one in Cambodia when you just had, your headphones. I loved that episode. And again, it's about, being raw and refreshing. And it's not about having to have the perfect audio equipment, because usually I think also that's where your course really comes in too. But usually our biggest barrier is ourselves. So, just being like, no, just use your headphones. It's good enough. Yeah. And I think also all these like snippets always with Regina, where, the podcast about like why the story behind hashtag impact, the one with Claudia Stöckel, that was the one that I listened to first. She's also a fellow Austrian. I
shout out to Claudia Stöckel. Yeah, shout out to Claudia Stöckel.
Yeah. But I think also, also these like honest, and also you created a new podcast called Off the Record, where you really share behind the scenes. So I think all these also personal episodes where it's just basically the Regina show, I really love those too.
I try to be very honest, with the journey I am on, because I feel it comes easier to me when I just be honest and say, I make tons of mistakes all the time. And I think actually other people feel encouraged by that when they hear on the other show that I'm also running, Off the Record, where I'm sharing all the mistakes I made when I first launched #Impact Podcast, all the embarrassing things that happened behind the scenes. And there is a little bit of a comedian inside my heart as well, where I feel maybe this is the Austrian, is our Austrianness, Belinda, that we like to laugh about ourselves as well. And sometimes a good laugh, even about things that go wrong, can go a long way. It can go a long way, and it can then help. And we are addressing very serious issues on #Impact. Don't get me wrong. This is not a joke. This is serious. But that's where the values that Dave now just pointed out come in. And I'm really grateful, Dave, that you actually highlighted that, because it's just the experience I made as well, that it depends. How do you get people on board? There are different ways how you can achieve to do that. What has worked really well for us is to kind of like confront our listeners with topics that are sometimes hard to digest, like crazy amount of pollution, human trafficking, inequality. I mean, these are topics that are really shocking, disturbing statistics. But then when you finish off the episode and you hear from a change maker that against all odds, there's like such a small percentage of impact that this person is making. And I can point out Matt Friedman here, who has been such an amazing inspiration to me, who runs the Mekong Club, working with human trafficking victims. And then he shares like there's just this tiny percentage of people that they help each year. But he still keeps going. And I think this is so uplifting for all of us, because Joanne mentioned before, it can feel really overwhelming. There's just so much. I mean, where should we even start? But then if you hear from people on our show that keeping their optimism that they can make an impact, and finishing off with my favorite question of all, what could everyone do right now to make the world a better place? And then hear from the change makers what they say. I hope that it makes the listener think as well about what they would answer, right? So, I think there's a lot of material there on #Impact you should and could enjoy starting now after you listen to this broadcast, and let us know what you think. I think this is always so important for us to also we can only grow and learn if we hear from others and get feedback, and turn it into a community that you want to be part of. Yeah. Was that a good resume? Was that a good
that was a good summary.
A good summary. I find it always hard to stop, Dave. There's a danger of inviting the #Impact team on the show, because there's always but one last thing, and actually that I could mention, and so you have to just step in and stop us.
No, that's the beauty of the podcasting industry and live broadcasting, is that you're not going to get cut off. It's like, oh, we have 30 seconds to answer this question or whatever. No, like you said, you can get that raw feedback and that raw answer from somebody when you're asking a question or doing an interview or putting together a story to release as an episode. So I think it's impressive. I'm going to share again your website. I can tell, ladies, that you truly are a podcasting community built for and by visionaries looking to make positive impacts by sharing stories that deserve to be heard. Your core purpose, as listed on your website, that you empower organizations and individuals to take action, live consciously, give back, and identify how their contributions can make the world a better place. I think what you've shown today and what you're showing with season 5 is exactly that. And that you're demonstrating that you do have a core purpose, that your mission is set, and the production behind it is proving that. And just with all the thoughts and all the words that the four of you have shared, it definitely demonstrates that you've chosen the right people to have in your corner. And that's one of the most important things, that have people with the similar passions, with the similar interests, to to collaborate and put these things together, and having those shared values and connecting that with your audience, I think, is the most important. So I want to thank Regina, Carol, Joanne, and Belinda. Really appreciate you all coming in to join me in Podcaster Showcase. I'll give each of you last couple minutes or a couple lines just to tell where people can find you, follow you, or whatever you want to share as a going away statement.
Who's going to start? Am I going to start? A going away statement. Oh my goodness. Yeah, just do me a favor and subscribe to our newsletter today so you get an update from us. And not just that, it will also give you a great 15 minutes motivation boost that I put together actually with myself in mind. Certain days, we're not feeling it. Certain days, it's just, this is hard showing up every single day and like, yeah, okay, I'm going to sit down and edit the next episode. No, it's not easy. And this motivation boost hopefully will help you as well to go into your next podcast recording, into your next meeting confidently and motivated. So you can do that at #impact.com/subscribe and get on that beautiful newsletter that Joanne is preparing for you. Yes, that's my call to action. Over to you, ladies.
Can I just add something really
please.
quick? So definitely we would love for you all to hopefully check out our new episodes, our upcoming episodes for season 5. To me personally, I'm really excited to listen to them because we're interviewing a lot of some amazing women who are working in both business, but trying to make a social impact in the private sector and working with corporations, NGOs, schools, individuals on sustainable development. So I think this integration and this harmony and really connecting all the dots together is really important. And I guess the message I just want to drive home is that, making an impact isn't a separate thing from like other things. It's not like, oh, you can either do social impact work or other work. Sometimes it can be in harmony and it can go hand in hand. So that is something I've learned over the past year. And it's just something I would really love for everyone to keep in mind. Yeah.
Carol, I was waiting for you to unmute yourself I just want to echo on what Regina and Joanne said, and also to your question, Dave, what can everybody do? Or where can people get started? I think if you listen to this season, you will really learn from people who really started things on a grassroots level, where they just saw I think generally with #impact, people saw something in the environment that they did not like, where they wanted to change the situation of the status quo. And then they just went out and did that. And, they did that with like small baby steps. And I think in life, we always often overwhelm ourselves with thinking that, whether it's also with business or your career, you always think that you have to already be on top, but you don't really look at the journey that gets you to the top. And I think that speaking to these change makers, speaking to people, and also showcasing the stories really makes everybody also learn. Like Regina, she started in her bedroom with a blanket over her head, and sometimes she still uses that blanket or hoodie nowadays.
I have the blanket over my head.
I know that. One of the stories I love so much is when you told me that you were recording in a cardboard box. Because of the audio and the quality of it, like on your bed with a box on. And after also I did my first episodes, I also found myself once with a blanket over my head, sitting on my bed because there was construction going on outside and I just wanted to record myself. But I think we all should just be aware that things start with baby steps, and it's completely fine to just start slowly, but slow and steady. I think that's what it's all about.
Carol, now you have the last word.
Oh, okay. No pressure. In
No
addition
pressure
to,
there.
I guess in addition to listening to our podcast, I would recommend everyone to follow #Impact on Instagram. Not only just to kind of see how the podcast has evolved and the community as we feature different stories from our community, but also just Regina posts a lot of fun stuff too, and how she's on her own journey with this podcast. And I think just to echo what she said during her TED Talk, the most important thing if you want to start changing the world, even in the smallest ways, is to just listen. And I think listening to what is going on, listening to other people's stories and what they're going through, and even to yourself and what you feel in your heart, I think that's why we really care about audio and #Impact, because it's a way for all of us to start listening.
Yeah, the power of listening. Yeah. No, what was it called? The magic of listening. That's the name of the TEDx talk that Carol just referred to, and it's something I also learn every single day. It taught me so much. I became a much better listener starting this podcast, and it's a skill. I think the most underrated skill there is in today's world. Listening intentionally. Yeah. Oh, that's the fun Instagram stuff. Look. Oh my God. Usually in the stories, there are some more like behind the scenes. So if you tune in today, you're going to see me dance in Instagram stories. It's already up there. I don't know if you maybe don't show that right now. But I did a little, sometimes I like to do a little launch day dance. It's good to move. Yeah.
Launch day dances are good. It's
Yeah.
exciting times. Anytime you can launch a new episode, a new season, especially. So, ladies, I want to thank you so much for joining us for Podcaster Showcase. We really appreciate the time, the effort, the energy you brought to our thing. We definitely encourage everybody to head over to #impact.com/season5. Start learning about what's coming up. Listen to those sneak peeks. Make sure you do hit subscribe in whatever podcast app and podcast player of choice that you have. So on behalf of myself and Steve, Regina, Carol, Joanne, Belinda, thank you all so much for taking part in Podcaster Showcase.
Thank you so much,
we really
Dave.
appreciate it.
It's been such an honor to be invited to share on your platform. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having us.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that is going to wrap up this month of Podcaster Showcase. Make sure everybody out there, continue to stay in tune. We're going to have another exciting round coming in December. But again, Regina, Carol, Belinda, and Joanne from #Impact, we want to thank you all for joining us. Until next time, I am Dave Lee, co-founder of International Podcast Day, and we will see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.